Well, welcome everybody to the first ever bite-sized podcast. My name is Ziggy. I'll be your host today. And who's here joining me?
You got Corbin.
You got Miggy.
And today we're going to get into Megaman Battle Network. So the concept of this podcast is we're going to play a game, at least one a month, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to tell you what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, what we think other games.
A lot about what we don't like about it.
maybe too much. And then we're gonna talk about what we think other games could learn from it. Yeah, let's dive right in a little bit with our history with Battle Network. Miggy, you're the guest here. Miggy.png.
Okay, so Battle Network I played, I think the first time I played it was actually on the cartridge, for the Game Boy Advance. But I didn't play it until years after it had come out. The first, I guess, game in the genre or in that area of Mega Man that I played was Network Transmission for the GameCube. So that was my first introduction. So that's my idea. I mean, I have a long history with this era of Mega Man because I watched the anime and I don't know what to call them, dolls. There were dolls.
Or action figures.
Oh, sure, action figures. I guess they're dolls. They're dolls. And I had the roll one too, which was not helping my case at all. But I got really into it and I loved it. The anime I think had a short run I watched that one in Spanish too, so that's the other thing. Because where I live, I gotta watch everything I watch was in Spanish dub, and it was years after it had already been out in Japan and cable and everything else. But I had a short run. I loved it though. That was at the time that was my favorite show. I loved it, and sadly that's it. It never went anything past that.
That is awesome. I have never seen the show, and it's kind of all I want to watch right now. Yeah, I played the first game when it came. It was not when it came out. It had to have been like a couple years after, I think, and played the first game on the Game Boy Advance. No backlight, just sitting under a lamp or outside, But I don't think I played like any of them after that. I mean, I had played like, the first couple other Mega Mans, but I had never played any other Battle Network after that. And then I think the only other one I played was I think there was one for the DS. Maybe I played for a little bit, just tried it out, but that would have been like 5 or 6 or something. So years later. But I always loved it as a kid. It was like one of my favorite go-to Game Boy Advance games. So absolutely love it. But I'm so happy we have Miggy that can talk about the anime as well.
Right. Yeah, for me, I'm actually like Miggy in the sense that I played Network Transmission first on the GameCube. And I was like, oh, this is kind of odd. It's like Mega Man, but you have to use the chips, the cards to move through an action platformer. And I was like, oh, it's a cool concept though. Like he goes into the internet and he explores. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I didn't have a GameCube yet, but then I did have a Game Boy Advance. So I bought it for Game Boy Advance. And to my surprise, thankfully, it was an RPG, which I like even more than platformers. So I was actually even more happy with the Game Boy Advance version than the GameCube.
Wait, so you didn't even know what kind of game it was when you went into it?
No. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
so I was
cool.
like, oh, this is cool.
I think I got my copy from a friend. So he was like this is like Pokemon cards. But it's like an awesome game of that. And I was like, oh, cool. So I kind of
and I had already liked Mega Man too, like you, Corbin. So before that. So it was just an easy decision. That's like
I'm sure we'll talk about it more too, but it's like wild when you're playing like the other original Mega Man, and then like if you went into this thinking that you were just getting like a little sequel of that, like it is not even the same thing remotely.
Yeah, at all. So that's where we all come from with the game. Does anyone want to start with what they feel like is the game's strength?
I mean, obviously like the greatest strength is the battle, right? The battle system. I mean, hands down. Like that's the strength.
Yeah. Are you able to describe what is the battle system? How would you define the battle system?
I mean, I can't like. Can you guys think of another game that's like it before it? Like I didn't want to just say that it was like probably one of the most unique battle systems up until its time, but I was literally trying to look for another game that did anything close to it, and I mean, before 2001, I was like, I think that's it. Like, and honestly, well, I mean, it's basically like a deck building system based on, I mean, what it was based on was the Pokemon trading cards, right? So it basically took that idea and we're like, what if we made an awesome game with it? Made it real time. You're running around a grid and using these cards. So it's like perfect RPG and action elements with like still like that collectible, infusion into it that like really makes you like addicted to that part of it. It makes it like worth just like grinding out hundreds and thousands of battles like that mean nothing.
Yeah, I think the battle mechanics are really cool because it's kind of like a hybrid. Like there's some action going on real time, like you said. There's some RPG, there's some cards, but I like that can change. Like you can draw a certain chip and steal some of the grid panels away from your enemy, or they can take it from you. So I think it makes every battle different, which really makes it like a fresh time, especially because there is a lot of random encounters in this game. So that battle mechanic has to be good.
Would you say that it's too many?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's awful.
Absolutely.
It's awful.
So I was thinking about that and I was like, I don't know if it's too many. Because like, what else does the game have? It doesn't have puzzles.
Oh no, those things aren't puzzles. I don't care who you're trying to convince. Those were torture machines.
Wait, you're telling me you figured out how to turn off the faucet and on the faucet on your first try?
No, that's what I'm saying. They weren't puzzles in the sense that there was anything to guide you to a puzzle.
Yeah.
Say like, oh, this is what you need to do. It's like you're just left there to figure things out for yourself.
Yeah.
And they make no sense.
Here's the question I want to ask that I don't have an answer to. So is the story with question mark after the word story?
Wait a minute.
Battle
So
Network,
we're going from the greatest strength to the greatest weakness.
Yeah, which is it a strength or is it a weakness? That's my question that I don't have an answer to. What do you guys think?
I definitely don't remember. I don't think that's in the anime either, and it's not in transmission. I haven't played this game in years, so when we got to, I guess, what is the big reveal at the end about who Mega Man is, I was like, what? Wait, what? Where did this come from? Yeah. It's his dead twin. Yeah. Although, okay, to its credit, I think I read somewhere that the concept for this game started out as a horror game. So
yeah, I did read that too.
So yeah. there's credit to that.
That's like the only hint that they had of when it used to be a horror game.
So I'm gonna try to tackle what is the Mega Man Battle Network.
Wow, I'm absolutely because literally I just played this game and I cannot tell you a single story point until the end.
That moment when that mic is dropped.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how we got there.
Oh yeah, no, I had to I played through this game right like this month, and I had to rewatch a YouTube video explaining what the story was for me to be like, oh right. So this is the funniest thing I found out of everything I looked up for Mega Man Battle Network. So you know that the enemies that is represented by 3 W's, like WWW,
mm-hmm. Like the big
that is pronounced in Mega Man fandom or somewhere in canon as World 3. So I spent the whole game calling it WWW because that's how I read it.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I guess in canon that is said or pronounced
World 3. What?
So I think it's world.
I also heard that they pronounced Mega Man, .exe, but they would actually pronounce it like W Man Exe or something. I don't remember how they would pronounce it, but it was like
Rockman.
W Man Exe. Oh yeah, Rockman Exe.
Yeah, so okay, so here's the story, at least what I got out of the game. So World 3, they want to rule the net /world by stealing the 4 super programs in a plan they call the end game to create a life virus, which does, drumroll, the game never says. They never say what life virus does. The only thing they say is they want to start a war, but the game never tells you what the life virus is actually going to do.
I mean, but it was on a rocket.
That's true.
You put a virus on a rocket, you got something going on.
Is that what 2020 was?
Is COVID-19 the life virus? You heard it here first.
Well, it took them 19
the story
years.
Follows LAN, which his name is based off of LAN, like a LAN network. The main character uses his PET, his pet, his personal personal terminal. You see what they did there? To operate his NetNavi or Net Navigator, so the guy who runs around the net for him, aka a glorified Tamagotchi, Megaman.exe, to try to stop them. And basically, the life lesson I got from this is don't challenge a 12-year-old to online video games because he will win.
Yeah, I mean, you question them at first for all the adults being like, yeah, we can't do anything, but you should. Yeah, and then he does it, and you're like, oh, I guess they were on something.
And take your dead twin with you.
Can we explain that? Like, does anyone want to try to? Does anyone even want to try to explain that mess? Like, you science the heck out of a dead body and put it into the internet, and you make Megaman.
You make Megaman.
But his real name was what? Hub.
Yeah, that's right. Hub. I mean, it's
Land
okay.
And Hub.
It's writing at its finest. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is, okay? It's genius.
But now that's the root of my confusion, whether the story is a pro or a con. What do you guys say?
I don't know. What do you think, Ziggy or Miggy? Because I just realized how often I'm going to get those mixed up right now. Miggy, because I want to hear how it is compared to the anime, because I never watched the anime. So, like, was that story even better? Because that's when I watched, like, when I played this game, I was like, this is like an early 2000s anime that makes no sense, and it's just fun, and I'm cool with that. But, like, does this compare at all to the anime?
I think the anime is a lot better in telling a story. Yeah, definitely in telling the story. I mean, and let's be honest, I'm going to be completely honest, it's not the greatest show in the universe. The writing there is sometimes pretty awful too, but it's way better than the game. And I think it does take, like, it deviates a lot from the game in the sense that I don't think it was ever even hinted at that Mega Man was Lan's dead twin. I'm gonna keep bringing that up just because I love it so much.
So odd.
I love that concept so much. And I think in an anime or a show, you can do something that you can in a video game, or we can very rarely do in a video game, which is to keep certain characters like obscure and menacing in the background, where they don't have to explain everything right off the bat. They can just leave elements here and there, and then as the story progresses, you get little reveals here and there, which is, the game did not do that at all. It just straight up shows you who's hacking into whatever and bringing who into whatever. There's no mystery to it at all.
That's true. Like, immediately it does smash cuts to the villain, right? Like in his lab too. Like, he's just like, you're like, oh, okay, so I know what everybody is doing.
That's the internet for you.
Yeah, everybody's watching all the time.
But I think that's something really funny. Like, can we talk about the fact that everything in this world building that they did revolves around the internet? Like, what was your guys' reaction when you have to like jack into a water fountain or a lamppost or a trash can to get on the internet? Like,
or like
is there
a mirror,
USB
like
drive,
a doll,
like on a trash can somewhere?
I think it was way ahead of its time, because literally it's like kids are just running around this town looking to see if they can jack into these things. Like, if they have like a port to plug in. It's like almost as bad as like Pokemon Go was. Like, remember that? Because it was like people are just walking around with their phones doing everything now. Like what? It's like almost seems like that level bad. Like everybody's that legitimately plugged in.
I mean, and then the sad part I think is that, well, now we have the benefit of having, what is it, 10, 15 years on the game. And there's elements of it that that kind of holds true. It seemed ridiculous at the time, but then you think about it and you're like, oh, I guess we do get a little out of hand with it. Like with the whole terrorism and hijacking school blackboards to brainwash kids into
Sure.
which seemed ridiculous to me at the time. And then, well, Ziggy already knows is the PP ads that eventually found me and brainwashed me too. And that's when I learned my lesson that yes, you can be brainwashed by videos.
You're not gonna pull me over to the dark side, okay? Stop bringing this up. The theme of the internet is like obviously like mega oversaturated into this game.
Oh yeah.
But at first it was kind of cute and like funny, and literally by the end it is pretty obnoxious. Like
oh yeah.
They do kind of play on some things that like yeah, we're kind of seeing truer now in a way, but I don't think they were trying to be clever. It was just nobody, like especially kids, did not know what the internet was when this game came out in 2001.
Yeah, it's very like conceptual.
This is kids do not understand the internet, like their target audience. So yeah, they're literally just using this theme as something that's popular, and it is pretty obnoxious by the end.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that too, like that very 2000s visualization of the internet. Like, can you guys think of anything before this that like did that? Because the only thing I could think of was Digimon, and I think that was slightly before this, but it has a similar tone to it. They definitely did it different, but it's just like so imaginative, I guess. I really like the look of it, but I'll talk about this more in the cons. But it starts to be a bit of a source.
I could kind of see Digimon a little bit. Like that's kind of up there. It is crazy how hyper it is. Yeah. It's wild.
The internet doesn't look like that anymore.
No, it's,
you know what I mean?
Like as far as video games go, to me, it's like one of the most 2000 thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've ever played. Like just the style, even the music too. Like the music, the style, everything about it sounds like it. It's wild. Like 2001. Yeah. It is crazy. But I think as far as like the storyline goes, it didn't bother me at all. It was funny to me. It's paper thin, like you're not really paying attention to anything, and it's just leaves room for hilarious one-liners from people, and that are hilarious out of context. The story means nothing. It's like a con, but I was trying to like consider it as like a non-consequential con. Like it's kind of like a non-factor. It's barely a thing, except for the end. The end then changes all that, and you're like, well, it's just bad story now.
But now that you bring it up, there's also undertones in I think they don't do well with the story, but they do well with maybe like underlying themes, or maybe like things that you don't think about too much. Lan's friend, and I'm not gonna get her name right. What is it? Mail? Oh yeah, it is Mail. Oh, yeah. What am I talking about? That pun just hit.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Got it. Applause for that one too. She's in a house by herself, and all they say is that her parents are never home. So it's never mentioned if she lives by herself because her parents are gone or if they're because they're at work. And I don't remember that part of the story. And then Lan's mom constantly complaining about her dad, her husband, his dad not being home a lot, having to work a lot. So I think there's like little tones here and there that are done well, but they're never explored, and that's kind of a letdown.
I don't know. I don't even think they need to be though.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I kind of think it's nice that it's not. Like, I do agree. Like, I think my initial reaction was like, what is this story? But then by the end of it, like, well, it got ridiculous at the end. But sometimes it's just like it was so bad that it was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny. It was kind of just like, how did they just approve this? Like, but it's kind of cool because it doesn't need to be dramatic or epic. Like, even though it has tones of that.
That's not what it's promising. Like,
yeah,
a big epic story.
Yeah, I feel like really, like, from a development standpoint, like, they're really selling this game on the battle system, and I think they really knocked that out of the park.
Oh yeah,
like, that's the biggest pro of the game for me, would be the battle system is just really good.
Yeah, I think the battle system is like the top pro, and the story is like literally dead center, like right between pros and cons. It's like basically not even on the chart. It's the line that's separating them.
Yeah. Yeah, because I noticed that there's people that would play this game competitively because you could battle each other, and I actually think that's where this game is all about. I would really love to get into like the competitive aspect of it. It seems really fun.
Yeah, I wonder if there's still a community for that, like any kind of retro Mega Man Battle community.
We
should have looked into that.
Yeah, where are they at?
So, what do you think about like the battle system? Because definitely the whole game revolves around the battle system and how that works. So what do you guys think about it compared to Pokemon? Because it's obviously like heavily inspired. It basically did what Digimon was trying to do with Pokemon, and I think it did it better than Digimon as far as a video game. But what do you guys think about it compared to like Pokemon, either the trading cards or the video games?
I think definitely that's the strongest point, right? We already talked about that. And I think it's great because I'll play RPGs. One of my gripes with it is turn-based RPGs, just because I just don't have the patience to just sit there and take it. To me, it's just, I don't know. I like a good. I think this the mechanic does a good marriage between like what a platformer would do for you and what an RPG type of fight system would do for you, and I love it. I think it's great, and I am wondering why more handheld games don't do that.
Yeah, for sure. That I don't understand why this isn't like why the market's not oversaturated with these kind of games.
Yeah, because I definitely knew a lot of kids growing up that would never touch an RPG, but they played this game and they really enjoyed it. So I do think it's like a good middle ground where there's enough time where you're active in the game that it keeps people engaged that don't want the turn-based, they don't want to wait. But I think it is still RPG enough for people who like an RPG to be like, oh, okay, this has some flexibility. You have some customization to your character. You can control what you do. So I think that aspect of it's really cool that it can kind of take those two genres, like of more of an action or a platformer, not really a platformer, but an action game and an RPG, and kind of shake hands and be like, this is what it would look like to get a little bit of both. For me, though, as far as with Pokemon, I mean, I love competitive Pokemon. I love battling other people. I just think it's one of the greatest games. It's the only game I've ever played competitively that I would put over chess. So that's a high stake for me. But I've never played Battle Network competitively. I think if I did, it would be really cool. So I'm not completely against that concept. I don't know what the meta game is on a 20-year-old game, but it would be kind of cool to find out.
We get it started.
Yeah.
Revive it. So it's not like above Pokemon for you though.
Not
like,
for me.
It's not. Yeah, not for me either. I don't think it's it. It pulled so much from the actual trading cards and not really from the actual video game.
Yeah, I agree
which is like fascinating to me because they're really, it actually beat Pokemon to the Game Boy Advance. Right? Like I think Pokemon didn't even come out until like it was like another year or two, I think, after it.
Yeah, with
So-
Ruby and Sapphire.
I really almost was comparing it in my mind more to the trading cards,
Yeah.
which is cooler to me because it's such an interesting mix of genres as a video game. And it is like an RPG for people who don't like RPGs. I did feel like by the end of it, I was like, I don't know if this is even an RPG though. Like it just kind of feels like an action game to me in like a cool way. The only thing that it didn't have for me that Pokemon has was like, I'm very much like a collector, and I want to do all the side quests, and I want to like collect everything in the game and explore. Yeah. And obviously it had nothing to explore really. I mean, like there was like
I was too afraid to explore because the encounter rate was so high.
You take like 2 steps and you'd be like, okay.
I was like, I don't want to go off the beaten path at all.
Well, and the weird thing was like you don't have that same like excitement to catch a new Pokemon, you know, to like complete your Pokedex. That was exciting to do that, or to trade for a certain card, you know? Like to get the chips, to just get chips, I was like, I could care less. Like I spent almost like I started at the beginning, I was trying to like make my folder, like, you know, put my best chips in, but I was like, it's pretty much just the new chip that you get. You just swap it out for something. And by the end, I did not care what was in my folder. I was just playing the game and I was battling and I was having fun. It's kind of like the Fast and the Furious of RPGs.
It's great,
but in a great way.
Back to Vin Diesel.
But like, you knew I'd get there.
Yeah, Vin Diesel as Mega Man.
2021 is a compliment to it too, because it's just like funny. The story's terrible, but it's just fun, and I like playing it. But I can walk away from it. And I'm cool. You know, like, there's no stakes.
Maybe the other games do it better, but that is a big missed opportunity with like advanced chips. The combination of different chips to get something that's unique. I did it once and I was like, this is great, but then I forgot about it because it doesn't add to anything, at least in this game. It doesn't really change a lot. It's cool to see what combinations make what, but because it's not necessary or it doesn't help at all. It's just, I don't know. I think for me it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that's where I wonder about the competitive aspect, because that's like true of Pokemon. Like there's so many moves you can learn, and in this main story, you're like, yeah, but I would never use that. But then in competitive, they're like deeply ingrained strategies revolved around those moves. So it's like, I wonder if like those special chips are like that, because I don't even think I did it once through the whole story. Yeah. I couldn't figure out.
You don't need to. You really don't need to.
No, you don't need to.
Put the music as a pro or a con. Which would
pro.
You place that as?
Pro.
Yeah,
I'm a hard pro.
Yeah, I like it's real chipper. It's real upbeat. It's pretty fun.
Dude, I
didn't tire of listening to it, so that's good.
I mean, I'm like a junkie for that kind of music anyway. What is there, like 3 songs in the game?
Yeah.
But they're all like so good. It is ridiculous. Literally, I like will walk in and like but like my wife is singing the songs, like she's humming them. And I'm like, okay, like these are good songs. Like these are just catchy songs. And they're perfect whether you're like walking around town or fighting some little viruses. It's just the music was perfect.
Music is amazing. I think Mega Man franchise is, for me anyways, personally, has the best music.
Yeah. Like Capcom, that is an area that they just crush it. Is soundtrack. So what then was your con, Corbin? We'll get into cons now.
Oh yeah, so I love the battle system, right? Like obviously that's the highest point, and I love how they really tried to capitalize on like Pokemon and that popularity of that, and I love how they did it because they didn't just make a copy. But the one thing like I thought they really missed was like the like any kind of leveling up system. I know you don't need that in an RPG. You don't need to have like a points based or like a leveling system, but it just took away. I felt like it made there were so many random encounters, and that got annoying at some points because they don't really mean anything.
Like, they didn't want their chip.
You're not just grinding to gain experience and level up. Just getting useless chips that don't like really make you stronger. They're just there.
I agree with you like 100% that was maybe honestly the biggest flaw of the game to me is that I really love this battle system, but they gave me no motivation to enjoy doing it. Like I wanted a really good motivation of like, why am I doing this? Like where is my reward? And I think that's really like the modern day Paper Mario problem for me is they have torn out more of the RPG elements. And I know a lot of people love those new games and, power to them, but I really miss the reward of, okay, I strategized, I played well, and then you're rewarded for it in some kind of way, whether it's a level or badges or in this case it was chips, but the reward wasn't high enough for the chips.
Yeah.
Anytime an escape chip came into my folder, I would take advantage of it immediately. I was like, I'm not getting anything from this.
Yeah, it got to the point I was looking like, how do I get more of these? How do I get more escape chips?
Can I just have a full deck of escape chips?
What did you guys think of like the puzzle designs? I'll use that word sparingly, like the map designs, things like that.
Okay, can I start this one?
Because that one was a con for me, so I want to hear what Mickey has.
It's a con for me too. Yeah, it's a con for me too.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I have really strong opinions on it because, like I mentioned, they're called puzzles, but there's nothing. I mean, at least to me, they're not puzzles in the sense that there's nothing to indicate that you're entering somewhere where there's a puzzle and then there's some type of reward at the end. Like the levels become so, especially at the it's not the power plant. Or is it? It is the power plant, right? When you fight Elecman and you have to find all the batteries and put them in positions. That was so grueling. The invisible paths were super annoying.
I think they ran out of development time on that one because you don't have to develop paths. You don't even have to draw the puzzles.
Just put random stuff.
Put collisions and that.
It's true. Yeah, one guy at the meeting was like, "Guys, I got it. Okay,
this little kid is never gonna get through this."
It's very, very annoying, and the design. I guess like you mentioned. I guess I can understand what they were trying to do and how they're gonna represent the internet on like a physical level, but it's way too confusing. It's really bad. I didn't think. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the puzzles or the level designs on this.
Yeah, for me, like I think the overall aesthetic is really cool, but there was no way of orienting myself. It's like I didn't like after I would get in a battle every 2 steps, 3 steps, I would have to like what I started doing is when a battle started, I would tell myself which direction I was running so that I would remember when the battle ended. Because sometimes I'd end up going back the way I came. And
true, yeah. Because sometimes those battles were like literally 0.4 seconds, and sometimes they were like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Yeah. It's like 5 minutes and I'm going to lose. And I just lost. I don't know where I'm going now.
This got me bad when I first started, and I was talking to Miggy, and I think this got him too. Thankfully, I was like, this game is fun, so I don't mind. But I was recently playing a game called Bug Fables, where it's really cool. It's kind of like a Paper Mario RPG. And if you lose, you don't go to your last save point, as in most new modern games. You go to a different area. You can like retry, or you can do things like that. And I was in that mind frame the second I picked up this game. and I played for like an hour and a half without saving when I first started, and I lost one match, and I was like, I didn't save once in an hour, and that was my bad. But I was like,
so it was the
forgot
first hour and a
about
half.
the age of some video games that you have to save. So I started saving after every battle.
It was the first hour and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah, it definitely got me too.
Rough.
It got me too, and
yeah,
I had the advantage of playing it on emulator.
Okay.
But I didn't use. Okay, the only advantage I had was that I could speed things up because it was so. I did it, and I did it like 3 times in a row, where I wouldn't save, get so far into the game, and then lose, and I was like, oh, I have to go all the way back and speed it up. And I told Zach, like, I was so frustrated with it, but like by the last round, I was getting like super sloppy and like almost dying several times where I shouldn't be. Yeah, I learned my lesson too, to save after every single encounter. Just save, or every few steps, just do a save.
So what I think they should have done in this game is they should have like separated it into puzzles and then the battle. And I think the puzzle should have all been done by Lan.
That's
in the world, because he was doing nothing the entire game. He's just skating around, talking to people.
Who does he think he is?
Who does he think he is? He's just this random 12-year-old, like just bumming around. But I think that would have been a really cool aspect to make it feel a little bit more RPG, is to really just, doesn't have to be a lot, but just let him do the puzzles and then jumps in and battles as Mega Man. And I think making that separation could have like played on some interesting things. Even like for some of the big boss battles, you could have like cut away to a puzzle and have Lan do it on the other side and cut back to a battle. I think like stuff like that would have been really cool.
I could see that being really cool. I think that's actually a really good way to improve what's already there in the game, because they did that once, right at the beginning when you're in the school. And I enjoyed that. It's like, oh, how many desks are in the classroom? But then they ruined it, because then you get to do you guys know what I'm talking about? You get to these doors where you have to just randomly basically guess.
Oh yeah.
What the number code is. I was like,
and you're like, okay, and then you're like, guess 5 wrong, and it's like, okay, it went up a digit, and you're like, cool, cool. I guess I don't know. That doesn't help or hurt really. That was so weird. Their puzzles were non-existent, basically. Like that was the one thing that like really detracted from the game for me. Like the leveling system, and also like those actual level designs, like for the net.
So one thing I'd like to see from this, I'd like to see a Switch port. I think it would transition great. Give us a package of a few of the titles, and if they could add some online support where we could like battle from a distance, that'd probably be my ideal outcome for Battle Network. Because there's like 6 more titles. I'm not really like itching for a new title per se, but I think a nice port would be pretty cool with some online support. I would be pretty happy with that. What about you guys?
I would be super interested in looking at those other titles too, because I played one later on, but not a lot, and I would love to see if they made any improvements. I mean, they had to have added to the system in general, but I would be very interested to see what they added and like improvements they made throughout the series, and maybe play one of those games or get a port to the Switch. That would be sweet, or a collection. That would be best case scenario.
Yeah. I agree, because I wonder how some of these things got ironed out in future titles. I've only played one more, and it was a long time ago, so I don't really remember. But it's kind of like Sonic and Sonic 2 for me. Like Sonic 1 is great, but it was in the raw, and I feel like everything they added in Sonic 2 just boosted what was already there to a really good degree.
I'd love to have a collection on the Switch. Sorry, I'd love to have a collection just because I love the games. Although, if I'm being honest, just from what I can imagine, or probably would have read or something, I think the story doesn't get too much, but the storytelling doesn't get a whole lot better. I think it's just as insane as it was in the first one.
Honestly, that's fine. It's not. It's not it's not a big epic storytelling game to me.
Yeah,
you're right. We're definitely not playing these games for the story. It's all about the battle mechanic. But I think the sequels do it better. They do a lot of improvements on the mechanics of it, which I would be interested in revisiting and seeing what they change with what's the most important part of the game to me.
We also found some pretty interesting marketing tools used for this game. Aside from the anime, Corbin, do you want to get into this board game you found?
Did I send you a picture of that?
You did, but I also added one, like in the show notes.
I gotta pull it up. I have it in the other. Oh, what is this?
Yeah.
So this is like an actual pet toy, right?
Yeah.
Or PET toy. It's not an actual dog toy.
Get it right, Corbin.
With actual chips. I want to know what that like showed on the, like if it actually worked. Like, did it show anything on that thing? Like,
I'm
when you
pretty
plug
convinced
those chips in?
from what I saw. It's just kind of like a glorified Tamagotchi. Like, I think you can battle if someone else has one. You can battle in some respect, but
because it looks
find
chunky.
a lot on it.
Like, it looks like it would do something.
Yeah,
but in my heart, I know that doesn't mean anything. Like, it might just light up and go, pew.
You could always chuck it at someone.
But my all-time favorite thing that I need to get is the Megaman or Rockman Catan. Incredible. I mean, I need that at some point.
That's the crossover of the century we didn't even know about.
Megaman and Catan? Are you kidding me? It's perfect. He already has like the different resources in his enemies. I mean, come on. It's built in stuff. It's just selling itself.
So how does that one work? You kill your enemies and then harvest their body parts for
you build computers out of your foes.
I like to think that they changed absolutely nothing about Catan. They literally just pasted the theme on. Ideally.
maybe the commodities in the game are like battle chips or something.
True. Oh yeah. The development cards that you can buy. Those should definitely be chips. But I need to find that game. Keep your guys' eyes open for that.
I might have it somewhere in the closet.
Yeah, Yahoo Japan auctions. Here we come. So what do you guys think then? What could other games learn from Battle Network?
Write killer music and make a killer battle system, and you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say there is a game I have on the Switch that does everything that's right about this game. One Step from Eden. Have you guys heard of this or played this before? This does literally everything that's right about Battle Network, and it like makes an ideal version for me. It makes it not even try to be an RPG. It's an arcade game. It's an arcade deck builder, and it's set up the same way. I think the battle grid is a little bit bigger. Maybe it's like a 4x4 or something, but it literally works the same way, but it's an arcade format. So your point is to get from level 1 and you just progress through the levels. But at each level, you have branching pathways, and they're all just battles. There's no story. There's no like overworld that you walk around. You literally just battle. It sets up each scenario, and it works the same way. You get your chips. It gives you an option of 2. When you use both of them, it resets. You can hit a button to like shuffle for a cooldown. It does everything the same way. Like, it's all the highlights of that battle system. And it just takes away anything else that distracts from it. It just focuses on that. It owns it. It's so good. One Step from Eden, it is like, it just leans into the arcade aspect of this game. And it rules. It just uses all those good things and pumps them up.
I mean, that's all fine and dandy, but can you send your dead twin brother to do perilous work for you?
To be honest, I have not got to the end yet, so I can't
There's
say
always
no.
a chance.
Can't rule it out. Not entirely.
I can't rule it out.
I think for me, I just like that they took a really well-established franchise and just said, you know what, we're just gonna do something crazy with it that nobody's done before. And so I kind of wish more franchises would do that. Like, of course, there is a lot of examples of ones that do, but I think it'd be super cool to see like a Splatoon type game like this. I think it matches that kind of style, or like a Splatoon tactical RPG. But I just like the idea. Even like a Metroid tactical RPG could be cool. I mean, there's all kinds of games that have essentially no spin-offs. I mean, Metroid got Metroid Prime Pinball, but we don't talk about that.
What are you talking about? You're talking about that gem?
But I'm still glad they did it, because why not? Metroid
It's
Prime
true. Like,
can
don't be afraid to pivot or try new things.
Every good franchise needs to have a pinball game at some point.
Oh yeah, that or mini
It's
golf.
true.
I mean,
Maybe both.
you can combine both mini golf and pinball.
Yeah. Actually, kart racing. That's the default. That's
Kart
the
racing,
default
that's
one is
true.
kart racing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
no, that's definitely true. Like I think Metroid did something like that. I guess it wasn't too far off, but when they did Prime, it changed the genre a little bit, to have like a first person shooter type of thing, which was, I mean, now that whole genre is overly saturated and I'm not a fan of it. But at the time it was, and for the game it fit, it made sense. It's something that they hadn't done before, but it made sense to step into that realm. So I think a lot of franchises that aren't being that are like super loved, well loved, and they're not being given the care that they should. Like Star Fox is one of my favorites, and it just hasn't gone anywhere from. I mean, Star Fox Adventures was not a great game, but the concept of it was different from what it usually was. And I think if they had explored that aspect of a little bit more, they could have done something great with it. So it's okay. It's okay to make leaps into other genres or to change the whole system a bit, and then just learn from what the cons of it were and try to make a really good game out of it. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people either have the resources or the dedication to try something different and see what they can learn from it, to make a bad game but have aspects of it that could eventually lead to something that's really, really good.
And I think like figure out what's good with your game, Like don't feel like you have to do everything. Like I don't think they took this too seriously overall,
Yeah.
Like I really think they took the battle system seriously, and they really just it's almost a perfect battle system for me. And
really cool.
I mean, how could you not just laugh at everything else, basically?
Yeah.
There's obviously some cons to this game, but there's really not too many cons that detract from the game that much. Mostly the cons are just like, well, this is stupid, and you just kind of laugh about it. It doesn't add anything, but it doesn't really take away. So I think that's like a really good point, is like be okay to pivot and find new things and just like figure out one thing really well. Like just explore one idea, which probably is really hard because of how many games are out there today and how many ideas are out there. But just really think about one idea and really just try to make that idea good, even if it's different. Just make it good and don't take the other stuff too seriously. Just be able to like laugh about it and enjoy it and kind of have a fun attitude towards the rest.
Well, since this is our first episode, we don't have any listener mail, but that's something we do want to invite anyone listening to do, is to send us in your thoughts on the games that we're playing. We'll be able to share those with you if you either follow us on Twitter or if you want to support us on Patreon. We are there as well. We want to hear what you think of the next game we're going to play. So next month we'll play Gunman's Proof for the Super Nintendo. Actually, Super Famicom. Never came out in the United States, so you have to find a English patch for it or play it in Japanese, which both are out there. I won't tell you how to get them, but I will tell you that they are out there. So if you want to play along and write in your experiences, that would be much appreciated, and we'll get a good laugh out of what you think. So thanks for joining us on our first episode ever of Bite Sized Pod. We'll conclude. Is there any last words you guys want to include?
Careful your ovens don't explode, people.
And remember, if it's too dangerous for a normal child, you can always send his dead twin to do the job.
That'll do.
He's already dead. What is he gonna die again?
Oh, is he gonna die again? I mean,